What makes you look so good? Why don't you love me like I know you could?
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Kelly Hart is in the studio. This is Ocala Magazine Radio. Kelly is the executive editor of Ocala Magazine and, of course, a writer. Good morning, Kelly. How you doing?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Oh, man. You almost owed me a Coke, but I stopped. I didn't want to have that whole Coke thing happen.
I wanted to beat you to it.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How was your holiday?
Fine. I love the holidays.
Good.
But I'm glad they're over. You too?
Well, yes.
Oh, not really. That was a not really. I can read women, Keith.
Well, I mean, it's so much fun. You know, it's so much fun, and then it's kind of abruptly over, and I'm more exhausted from the holidays than anything else. It's not that I'm glad they're over. It's just it takes so much time and energy to pull off all of these, because it seems like there's so much at one time. It's Thanksgiving, and then boom, it's Christmas, and then boom, it's New Year's Eve.
But you look so forward to it as it's getting close to it.
Oh, I know. I anticipate it.
It's like eating. If you don't eat for a long time, it's really good.
That's true.
The hungrier you are, the more you like something.
That is true. That is true. But I am glad. I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad it's the new year, because to me, it's always an opportunity, right, to do something new, and then I have the whole year ahead of me, and what's gonna happen in this new year, and
I think
it's kind of exciting.
Probably the way we all feel about it, even though that makes no sense at all, because it's always a new day.
I know, and you know what? Especially in the last few New Year's Eves, this next year is going to be my year, and everything's going to happen for me the way I want it, and it doesn't. I mean, good things happen.
So what's the line by John Lennon? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Busy making other plans. Yes. And I believe that to be true. So my resolutions and things for this year are very minimal. I just am going to seize every single day. I think that's the best resolution to have.
So we were talking about best of our shows, and one of my favorite guests is the guy sitting next to you. Of the shows you've done, I'm not just saying that because Keith is here, but absolutely, I love the conversations you two have. So, and Keith, I apologize, I don't remember your last name.
Keith Chartrand.
Chartrand, okay.
Yes, I apologize for my nasal, but I have...
it's that time of year.
It's that time of year, yes.
It's that time of year.
We're battling.
Well, and the reason I have Keith here this morning is because, of course, we've come into a new year, which means we've got a new issue that is coming out very, very soon. In fact, we're at deadline right now, so everybody's back at the magazine busy slamming down coffees, and we've been very, very busy trying to not only squeeze in the holidays, but a deadline.
Right.
Like elves, I feel for
Are you
elves.
working on a Valentine's Day already?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah?
Oh yes. And March as well. So
Oh really?
Yeah, we're working ahead.
So what's that, St. Patrick's Day? Or Mardi Gras or something?
That's not what our issue will be, but it's my birthday month, so let's talk about that.
Oh, it's Kelly's birthday
let's
issue.
Focus on that. Just kidding. But so our January issue that will be out soon is our Town and Country issue, and every year in January we kind of theme it around this idea of it's a celebration of our town and country, and talk about all of the wonderful things that have happened in the last year and a lot of the progress that's been made in our town, and then what we have to look forward to this year. And there's a lot of great things we have to look forward to. And in one of our future radio shows this month, we'll be talking specifically about our State of the City feature, because it does specifically get into some of the things that have happened in the last year and some of the really cool things that will happen in 2015 and beyond. But the reason I have Keith with me this morning is because he wrote one of our features for the January issue on the Riley Arts Center, which has been in progress now for quite some time. And it's a really awesome article, and I know everybody will enjoy it, because Keith is what I love best about Keith when he writes. He's so thorough, and he does a lot of investigation and a lot of research, and there's a historical point of view. The way that this article is written, it's written from the perspective of the building.
What is the Riley Arts Center? What is that?
Well, I'll let Keith tell you, but it's our...
So it's a new name for something?
Well, yes, it's our Old City Auditorium downtown.
I didn't know.
Osceola, yes. So he did a lot of research.
Am I the last to find this out, or is this news that they renamed it? Oh, we don't know?
Yeah, no,
everybody knew that this was the Riley Arts Center? Where was I?
Especially the people that have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, I didn't do that.
Neither did I. So
did somebody named Riley donate a lot of money?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Riley. This is what happens when you donate a ton of money. Yes. Okay. So things are named after you. So I hear. But But Keith did a great job of getting all the information, and it's written from a historical perspective, so it tells a lot of history about the old city auditorium and things that happened there over time and what's happening now, which is really exciting. So I'll let Keith kind of just dive in and...
Well, take it from the perspective first, because Kelly had a good idea. Imagine, how people are feeling. Kelly's feeling, glad that the holidays are over.
Right.
I'm feeling kind of sick, but let's take the perspective. I am with this nasal, but anyway, Kelly had the idea. Let's take the perspective of how does the building feel, or what did the building go through for all the years that it's been open, and let's tell the story through the building's eyes. So that's interesting. I like the idea a lot.
That
It was
is a
cool.
cool
It's
approach, yeah.
It's a cool, different idea, and the building goes back all the way to the 1930s. The building's been sitting there for that long, and when you think about it, it's great from a perspective of that the building has lasted the test of time. And truly,
I'm so glad they didn't tear it down.
Oh, I know.
it was on life support. They were that close to getting the bulldozer out.
What was it, a financial thing, or was the building really in need of repair?
It's a combination of both, right?
Yeah, it was a combination. It was a combination of both, and I really have to credit Matt Wardell, who is the Ocala Symphony Orchestra maestro, because the Ocala Symphony Orchestra needed a home. They do their performances out at the livestock pavilion, the Florida Thoroughbred.
Oh, okay.
The horse park?
FTBOA?
Right. Sorry. Geez. So this is where they've been performing, but it's not their own home. And so he, along with a few other people, they had this great idea that they needed a venue that they could call their own. And when he started looking, there was some other, places that were kind of in the mix and on the list. And the idea of Linear Park and all the things happening from downtown Ocala all the way through Tuscaloosa, it only seemed appropriate that this venue be somewhere local and somewhere where people can kind of make it a destination. So the downtown expands all the way over to the old building. And a lot of people were against this idea because of the fact that it needed so many repairs and it was going to cost so much money. And I just love that Matt pretty much said, this needs to happen, this building needs new life, and we're going to make it happen. And I mean, he went out and raised hundreds and thousands, millions of dollars to make this
Millions
happen.
of dollars.
And the renovation is happening right now. I mean, Ocala Magazine was fortunate that we got involved before the first day of renovation, so we were able to go over and look at it as it was. And I remember in 8th grade, I think, maybe 7th or 8th grade, when I was in the Little Women Junior Service Club or whatever it was, having a dance and getting dressed up and being dropped off. And I mean, that was a big deal for me. And I know my mother and father, who both were raised here, went to dances and things of that nature there. So there's so much history and so many memories there. So the fact that it's being restored
That's
rather
great.
than
I'm so glad about that, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and what I love where Keith wrote so many of the things that happened there, and I keep stealing his thunder, so I'm just going to let him keep talking. I'm sorry, I'm really excited about this building.
It did stand the test of time, and as Kelly was saying, there were things that happened at this building. The building is located on the northeast corner of Tuscaloosa Park. So when you first get to Tuscaloosa Park, you're assuming, oh, this must be this huge building right smack in the middle of the park, and that's actually not the case. But it was built in the wartime era. It was a works project that was deemed by, I think it was not Eisenhower, it was Theodore Roosevelt decided that we are going
Theodore?
to... Yeah, we are going to...
You mean Franklin Roosevelt.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
Okay.
excuse me. We need to jumpstart the economy, okay? So getting out of the Depression, we are going to put money into the community, communities to get out of the Depression and to focus on arts, entertainment, learning so that people could know that there is progress, that we can basically revitalize and come out of this Great Depression. So money went all throughout the country to all these different works projects. So at the time...
This was one of them, huh? Wow.
Well, surprisingly it was, but this was almost like the afterthought. Because at the time, in doing a lot of research, the biggest project that was going on in the state of Florida, but was getting major attention in Ocala, you go back and look at... You remember microfiche? the old newspapers that are on
Right.
instead of the internet.
Right.
So if you dive back into that era, which I went to the library and they have microfiche,
Right,
and there were
right,
two
right.
newspapers at the time in Ocala. There was the Banner, but there was also called the Ocala Evening Star, I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, you go back and look, and the biggest works project that was going on in Ocala, in the area, was the Florida Canal that never actually was completed.
Oh, I bet that is true. Yeah.
So that was the big time. That was the big time news about what the Works project. I mean, there were, at the time, this is in the mid '30s, there were people coming from all over Florida. Like the American Legion was having their annual conference, and they were coming. Everybody throughout Florida, the Florida American Legion was having a conference in Ocala, and it was actually part of it was taking place at the Marion Theater at the time, and all these people were coming, but they were also going to stay a week and work on the canal. So this was across the. This made front page news almost every day in the Ocala newspaper.
It's sort of interesting. Wow.
So, but when that went away, Eisenhower decided, no, not Eisenhower. It was
FDR?
The president at the time in the mid-30s. He decided that, okay, we're not going to throw any more money into the canal. This thing is not happening. So there were smaller other projects that were going to take place throughout Ocala. You saw WPA classes taking place, like for women to learn about arts and entertainment, that would take place at Ocala High School.
WPA, what's that?
Works Project Administration.
Okay.
So these were all things to get the community out of the Depression. You know, for women to actually learn about arts and entertainment as opposed to just being homemakers. Mm-hmm. So that adult classes that could be taken after, the workday, so that people could learn more about arts, entertainment, just to be able to expand people's minds. So eventually, what came around is that the WPA and the city of Ocala, because there had to be collaboration between the government in Washington and the cities to actually really forge forward for projects that would cost a lot of money. And there was an agreement between the government in Washington and the city of Ocala to build an auditorium.
Wow.
And that happened in.
So that's how we ended up with it.
That's how we ended up with it.
We need
That's
to take
correct.
a little break, and we'll be right back. This is interesting stuff. I see. This is why he's one of my favorite guests.
I know, mine too.
All right, we'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA. If I push the right button. Let me do it again. Just rewind the tape. This is The Source, WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. After some dense fog around the area this morning, we'll see clouds and breaks of sun today with a warm afternoon high of 76 to 80. Mostly cloudy tonight, low 63 to 67. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine and warm, the high 80 to 84. Sunday, clouds and some sunshine and warm, high 80 to 84. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
The Ocala Civic Theater presents Sleuth. The mystery is in the wits of the two young rivals that battle each other to commit the perfect crime. Predator becomes prey, and this diabolical thriller blends danger and dark humor. The tension builds with every riveting plot twist and illusion. Sleuth at the Ocala Civic Theater on stage January 8th to January 18th. Call the box office at 352-236-2274. Your home is safe, or is it? AA Lock, Dock, and Security. The name has been a staple in Ocala since 1985. Do you have the right equipment in place to have peace of mind when you are at home or away? AA Lock, Dock, and Security has the right people to install and monitor your home or business. Call today for a free on-site security analysis. Call 867-1965. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, 219 Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
estate is the largest and most personal investment that any of us will ever make. Be sure to tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. when Bob Kennedy, owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty, will be answering your questions and discussing real estate. So remember, that's Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Call 622-9622 with your questions. It pays to be an informed buyer or seller. This is news you can use from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty and your friends here at WOCA.
All right, 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, let's return to Ocala Magazine Radio. Kelly and Keith are here. Kelly, Hart, and Keith.
Chartrand.
All right. We're learning about the new, let's see, the former Ocala Auditorium and the new.
Correct. Ocala City Auditorium. And now what?
The new Riley Arts Center.
So you didn't even remember the name.
Oh, I did.
Is it O'Reilly or Riley?
No, it's Riley.
Just
Riley, the Riley Arts Center.
Yeah.
Yes, and you may see it referred to as the RAC. So if you see
I
it
don't
in
like
that respect.
that. Give it a name and keep with the name.
I know, especially if I'm Mr. or Mrs. Riley.
Yes. But I like names. I don't like ELO. Why couldn't it be Electric Light Orchestra? What was wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm with you on that.
So you don't call Ocala Magazine OM. You don't do that.
Right now.
Wouldn't you hate that?
I would.
It'd be like O.
OM.
Which has the only
Which
person
just,
on the
it's
cover.
like OMG, which is never good.
OMG, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we like we like the bold Ocala Magazine. It's a statement.
So why does Oprah put herself on the cover of every magazine? I mean, it's getting a little much, isn't it?
Well, she runs the thing, right? She can do whatever she wants, probably.
I guess so. but
Yeah.
Somebody needs to talk to her.
I'll call her when I get back to the office.
Like, does that sell magazines?
Oh, clearly, yes. She's. I don't think anybody's starving over on the Oprah camp. But to get back to what Keith was saying right before we went to break, I thought it was really interesting because he was laying out this historical perspective about what Roosevelt and what the government wanted for this building at the time, and it sat there for so long empty and lifeless, and now it's almost as if it's really becoming exactly what it was intended to
Was
be
it
in the
lifeless?
first place.
It wasn't lifeless in the beginning.
No, it
No.
was not. But for a very long, I would say for the, what would you say, Kelly, the last 30 years?
At least.
At least the last 30 years.
It's been pretty empty. Yeah, I think we went to a couple
maybe
of art
20.
shows
I
there.
was in what, like the like I said, maybe the 7th grade when I went to that dance, and it was rough then. I think it was one of those, hey, we just need a building.
So I have a question about Matthew Wardell choosing that building. Was there something about the acoustics? Because you would think with an orchestra, because it did have that acoustic design. I don't know if it still does.
It's all gone.
That is a massive point, though, in the story.
Okay.
Okay. As you being involved in music very much and loving it so much, you'll appreciate the fact that Buddy Holly played there.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's cool.
Buddy Holly played, and from Matt's perspective, the Boston Pops played there.
Is that right?
But here is the major problem that the building had. The acoustics in there
We're not good.
were awful.
Really?
Because the designer, which was from Jacksonville, had no
Clue.
clue about building a building for music.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. I'm sorry it is what it is. Plain Jane, the acoustics were terrible.
He's probably deceased anyways. I'm sure we're not hurting his feelings.
But they were absolutely horrific.
He's in heaven right now, crying because you said that.
Oh, well, expect rain, I suppose.
But unequivocally, the fact that, I mean, if you've had people in there like Buddy Holly and the Boston Pops, there's
Right.
history there.
Yeah.
So for the Ocala Symphony Orchestra to say, okay, this is going to be our home, and we are going to make it acoustically the best building in the North Central Florida area. And that's what they're going to do.
Oh, going
And
to.
that-
Has that happened? Has it
It's
started
in
yet?
the works.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the building revitalization...
Without getting too technical, how are they doing that? What are they doing to make it more
Probably
acoustic?
taking some out. When you walk in there, and Matt brought me around and showed me, they're taking out certain soundboards that just didn't work.
Oh, okay.
They will put more the most advanced acoustic type, whether you need acoustics for this room to work. So they'll bring in the most advanced acoustic materials needed to make it sound absolutely tremendous.
It was very interesting because when Chris and I walked through with Matt one afternoon so that Chris could get some really good photos before all the renovations started happening, I was unaware because there was this really weird drop really, really weird drop ceiling in there with
and
the
which I
lights.
always thought that must be for the acoustics.
So above this thing is just feet and feet and feet of empty space. If you go up the stairs, there's a balcony. But the balcony, because of the way the ceiling had this drop ceiling, it completely shut off the balcony.
Oh, really?
So when they took all of those drop panels out and all the lights and everything, it opened up this big balcony that's upstairs, which I
Wow.
just found so fascinating. And I'm thinking, what was this balcony for? You know, I mean, maybe when it was built, there was, I don't know, was there segregation? Were certain people only able to sit up top and not?
Yeah,
You know,
maybe,
there's so
maybe.
much history
I bet there
that
was
we don't
some of
even
that.
think about. But it's so exciting.
So when it's all said and done, when it's all finished, will the symphony orchestra have more performances than we see from them now, or will other groups be in there? What's it going to be used
I think it's
for?
going to be both. I mean, right? It
Right.
seems
so,
like the
so the
symphony
goal
will be-
of, in talking to Matt, the goal of the building itself is to have a permanent home for the Ocala Symphony Orchestra. You know, all of these musicians that come in and out of all of these shows, they're lugging around chairs and they're lugging around their instruments, and they really have no home. So the fact that they'll be able to have a stable home, a place to practice, they can practice where they're going to be performing, the way that it'll be laid out, it'll be phenomenal for the symphony orchestra. But likewise, they want to open it up as a venue. So if people want to have concerts or come from out of town and do performances, they'll be able to do that. They'll use it as an art venue. They'll use it as an exhibition type venue, really depending on what the event is. But Matt wants to reinforce the idea of encouraging arts and music in our hometown. So it's definitely not limited to the symphony orchestra. In fact, the way the structure is being built is there's opportunity for an outdoor stage as well. So we'll be able to
that's
have
great.
performances in Tuscola Park.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And-
That's awesome.
and fill the park with music.
Don't you feel that Ocala has an unusually large amount of talented people in the arts and in music? I feel like, I mean, I don't know if we just exposed to them because of the show, but it seems like we meet people who are so good at art and at music and the other arts as well.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we have more than other towns or if I'm just paying attention to it.
Well, regardless of whether we do or we don't, I would say this. One, this is a place for them to be showcased. And two, if outside acts can come in, think about what that can do to generate the economy here. Because if you could bring in, why not bring in big time artists?
I think the reason is because we've not yet had a venue that supports the amount of people, the space, and like we've said, the acoustics. I mean, we have great venues,
Right.
but not necessarily
Well, I
set up
could-
for sound. So it's really critical that
Who's
we
to
have
say the
this.
biggest country music act could come here and do almost like a small venue type intimate
Oh,
setting?
and when you speak,
Why not?
when you speak to them, and we speak to our share of them, that's what they prefer. They don't really like
Right.
the Madison Square Gardens.
Well,
Right.
perfect. This'll
like the more
seat
intimate
6 or
settings.
7 right. This will seat 6 to 700 people.
Yeah.
And think about that. And where in Ocala have they been able to do that in the past?
Is that right? 600 or 700? Wow.
That's- yeah, 600
I didn't
to
realize it was
700
that
people.
big.
And
Wow.
it'll have concessions. I mean, it'll really be set up to where it'll be a quality venue, so that when you come in and you sit down, you're really able to take in the entire atmosphere of
The
the
lobby
building.
will be full of artwork done by local artists. I mean, that.
So is the entire history that you were talking about, is that all in the magazine?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So what I want to do is I want to encourage everybody to look for our January issue. It's our Town and Country issue. It has this feature that talks about the new Riley Arts Center, as well as many other features that I know everybody will enjoy reading. But you know, it'll be a few days, so you have to look for that. You can go to ocalamagazine.com and look at our digital issue as well. And of course, we always want you to find us on Facebook and like us, because we've got a lot of new ideas for the new year, some giveaways, just a lot of fun things so that we can interact with our community. So we obviously want to encourage that. And check out the Ocala Symphony Orchestra as well, because we wrote an article 2 months ago about the Riley Arts Center. So if they are interested in that, they'll learn a ton about that as well.
The Riley Arts Center.
Yes.
I'm the last one to know. R-I-L-E-Y?
REILLY.
R-E-I.
REI. Yes.
L-L-Y? Two L's?
Riley Arts Center.
Riley Arts Center.
Riley Arts Center.
The former Ocala City Auditorium.
And I was the last to know.
There's a lot of history there.
Now everybody knows.
Now everybody
You know,
knows.
Buddy Martin in the afternoon told one time about how he could remember as a kid dancing there. So
Sure.
I mean, this goes
wow.
this goes back.
It goes back a while.
So it's exciting. It's exciting for Old Ocala and New Ocala, and we
It's
encourage
tremendous.
everybody.
It was this close to being.
And we're so
knocked
lucky
down.
to have a symphony auction in the first place. Not a lot.
Absolutely.
Not to mention Matthew. Matthew's
And
awesome.
now
as
they
well.
have a home.
Keith, you're awesome, and Kelly, you are too.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year to both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Happy New
so
Year.
much.
Happy New Year.
All right, we'll be right back.
In Woo, for many Americans, 2015 getting off to a frigid start in places not used to those conditions. West Texas, for instance, hit with freezing rain and ice pellets.
Tomorrow, the storm system moves eastward and really expands. We're going to